Excel is an amazing tool for us to use. It allows us to analyze data really quickly. So imagine that we have a bunch of different m values right here. So these m values are just going from 1 through 7. So what we could say is, well, those m values are a set. So this is essentially a set right here. We could write it as set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the language that we could use to describe that set is that m is an integer, so it's a number that has no decimal or fraction. M is an integer that is between 1 and 7 inclusive, and the inclusive means that it includes 1 and 7. All right, well, let's imagine that we want to create another list. So we wanted to create this list here. Maybe we want to look at list 7. And so what list 7 does is it takes all of the m values, here, and it's going to cube them and subtract 2. So we can create a quick little equation that says my list 7 is going to be a new list, and this equals, okay, well, I click on this and I cube it. So that A3, that stands for cell A3. So A3, that's just my first value. So I'm cubing the cell A3, and then I subtract 2. Well, I want to cube each one of these m values and subtract 2, and I don't want to have to keep re-entering that equation. So all I need to do is click on this cell that has the equation, and then move my black cursor, or move my cursor until we get this black cross. And when we do, click and hold the click down and then drag all the way down until we get to 7. And so this is a new list, and this new list is created from my original integers here. We got integers back, but in this case they're changing in a very different way. How are they growing? So what we want to be able to do is examine the growth slash change, it means the same thing, of our new list. Because before we knew that m was just simply growing by 1 every time. In other words, we were at 1, we add 1, we get 2, we add 1, we get 3. But how is this growing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-input that just to work it down here. I'm going to re-enter that list. So just to show again, this equals our first m value cubed minus 2, and then I click on the cell and get to a black dot and drag it down, and I dragged it down 7 spaces because that's how many spaces m has. And what I want to look at is the differences. So how are these changing? So this is called, the first difference is when I just look at the difference between each subsequent point or each subsequent value. So we're going to say, okay, the difference is just taking the value in front of it minus that current value. This should be 7. It works. And so now if I just click and drag, it's going to calculate the difference between every subsequent value and the one before it, and its value. So like this 19 comes from saying 6 plus 19 will get me 25. 25 plus 37 will get me 62. So what we notice is we keep having to add more and more to get to the new value. We can just ignore that 341 because we don't have any points left. In other words, 214 plus 127 equals 341, but we have no points here to add this to get to somewhere else. So let's ignore it. Okay, second difference is how are those changes changing? This is a little bit like, you could think of it sort of like acceleration in a car. If this is our position and this is velocity, this is like acceleration. That's a really big idea. Try to wrap your head around that. So the second difference we get from the term in front of it, and then subtract the current value, and then if we continue that pattern, And again, well, this negative 127 here we ignore because it's not subtracting anything. So what we notice is now these values are getting closer and closer together. In other words, the change of the change is getting a little bit more consistent. But if we look at the third difference, ooh, interesting. If we look at the third difference, and you'll start understanding patterns of this instead of having to explore all the time. But this is really powerful, powerful idea here. If we look at the third difference, that's just how, again, the term in front minus it, and 6. And we just drag it down, and we get rid of this term, and we notice, oh, here we go. It's a constant. And what that means, the fact that the third difference is a constant, that means that m is a polynomial of degree 3. In other words, it is a cubic. And that's really cool. Why? You're going to see in the next video. Thank you.